Hello, everybody, and welcome to Transfer Change Show. And this is the Big Six. Well, it's the Big Three this week, but we're trying to keep in trend with the Premier League. So we've given Kieran and Farrell the day off, Arsenal and Liverpool. So neither of them's in Dubai though. I think we see Kieran. He was putting his clonking about in snow, and Farrell's working his little heart hat today. But we've got plenty to talk about today. Look, all eyes were Manchester this weekend, and we've got the perfect people here. We've got Kevin Parker representing Man City, regular Man City man, and a regular Manchester United man, Garth Lewis. How you doing, boys?
Yes, spectacular, apart from being a Man United fan, mate. But yeah, other than that, glorious. Yourself, fella?
And Kev, good weekend, mate?
Yeah, it was a great weekend. I actually went to Newcastle for the weekend as well, not just for the game. I went with some friends. I'm sat in an office now with Adam to 73 minutes. I must be honest. Although, City were dominating the game. We just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net. And then, of course, on came Mr. Perfection, Kevin De Bruyne. Changed the game completely.
Well, we're certainly going to talk about Kevin De Bruyne. I think it's only fair to start in one place. Garth, you can sit back for a little while, mate. You can prepare yourself for what's coming maybe a bit later on. But Man City probably, in my eyes, it was probably one of the best games that I've seen all seasons. I really enjoyed it. City seem to be going through the gears now. And look, Kevin's just mentioned there, Kevin De Bruyne. I think when he come on, I know he was good, and you think, no, he's not going to come on. He's not going to be out all this time, and he's not going to do what he's going to do. And he comes on and he does. We talk about Haaland being superhuman, but this guy, I'm unbelievable. But it was started off by a fantastic goal by Bernardo Silva, and look, it must be really worrying for the rest of the season now for the rest of the Premier League. They look like they're on a mission. But Kev, let's what did you think of the game? City look like they really mean business now.
Listen, I think City dominated the game from start to finish, but we're still 2-1 down at half time. The one thing I would say about the game is that there were all five of the goals were unbelievable. It's very difficult to pick the best goal from that because all five of them were excellent. And Newcastle, to be fair to them, had a game plan that they stuck to, and certainly in the first half it worked for them very well, knocking it long. And surprisingly, Kyle Walker wasn't quite as competitive, in terms of speed as he normally can be. And both of those goals came down Cal's side, but both of them were fantastic finishes. And even though City were playing really, really well, you looked at the goals that Newcastle scored and you thought, well, fair play to them. Second half, though, City just dominated absolutely completely. Yeah. Newcastle could not get out of their own half. And I know we had a conversation last week, Steve, about Declan Rice and Rodri. I think that game, particularly on Saturday, Rodri showed absolutely, without any shadow of a doubt, he confirmed once again that, well, I was going to say he confirmed once again that he's the best defensive midfield player in the world. But actually, on Saturday, his role changed slightly because Kovacic played a more defensive role, which allowed Rodri to actually move forward a little bit more. But some of the passes that Rodri was putting in that game were unbelievable. But it needed Mr. Magic to come on and change the game for City, because for all the chances that we created, and I think we had, for an away team to have 27 shots, away from home, 73% possession. I think 11 of the shots were on target, I think, from memory. You know, Dubravka played really, really well. It looked as if we just weren't going to get at least a second goal and at least take a point out of the game, which would have been disappointing for me, because before the game, because of the form that Newcastle are in, I sort of expected us to win the game. But yeah, listen, Kevin came on straight away. As soon as he was on, he wanted to take that free kick on the edge of the box, and you could just sense there was something in him that he was going to change that game. And within 5 minutes, he scored the goal. I mean, even the goal. I saw the interview. I saw the interview after the game where he talked about the fact that I think it was Byrne, I'm not 100% sure, that he saw the defender trying to make himself big, and Kevin De Bruyne said that he knew from that he would be able to slot the ball between his legs, and then it was just a case of whether the ball went in back in the net. And of course, I mean, it was just an unbelievable finish, really. And to listen to him, knowing that absolutely he knew what he wanted to do, and he converted that chance. But that pass I mean, it was a great finish by Oscar Bob. First Premier League goal, last minute of the game. 3 great touches, 3 unbelievable touches. But that pass from De Bruyne from 45 yards, to be able to see the run, to deliver, it was, I mean,
it's so good, mate. Yeah, it's so good.
I think a couple of things that, I think the two things I think you mentioned there, Oscar Bob. I think, you know, he's obviously had his plaudits the weekend, and you know, so he should. But I think, you know, that little piece of skill that he did for the goal there, I think it's gone a little bit, you know, under the radar because of, you know, of the De Bruyne thing and him coming on and doing what he did. But that was incredible, and also Bernardo Silva's goal was absolutely amazing as well. And I feel that again got a little bit, you know, went under the radar because of De Bruyne sort of stole the news, didn't he? Stole the show and stole the headline. So yeah, I think those two things definitely, you know, should be, you know, said that they was incredible pieces of skill.
Sorry,
sorry, go on, Garth. Sorry.
That's a completely different question, Kev. So take away what you were going to say, mate. Sorry, fella. Go with what you were going to say, and I'll ask afterwards.
No, go on. Sorry, I'm all ears.
No, literally, it was going to be, because I thought we were at a segue here. Did you hear Jamie Redknapp saying about Calvin Phillips and Rodri? Because you mentioned Rodri, it's been stuck in my brain since you mentioned it, saying that Calvin Phillips is the better passer of a ball than Rodri. And I've been waiting to speak to a Man City fan and see whether they agree with that or not. It seems ludicrous in my mind.
I didn't hear it. And listen, I like Calvin Phillips. I do like him. Unfortunately, and it sounds arrogant, and it's not. He's just not good enough for a team. He's not good enough for City. He's not good enough for Chelsea. He wouldn't be good enough. And take what I'm saying when I say Chelsea, because I know they're struggling. But you know, he's just not at that level. I don't. And Pep is no fool. Pep's giving him chances. And I didn't hear what Jamie Carragher said, but if he did say that, I'm sure sorry, Jamie.
I'm sure he says things to spark reaction, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Then he's a fool, isn't he? I mean,
He was specifically talking. What he was trying to say was he had better long passes. He had better long passes than Rodri, is what Jamie Redknapp was saying. He was like, yeah, but Rodri can't do the 40-yard diagonal. And I was like, that ain't true, is it?
Rodri's
No, Rodri's. You know, we had a conversation.
If he's been paid to be a pundit, then whatever they're paying him, they're overpaying him. Because listen, I'm not saying that Rodri is the best passer of a ball in the Premier League, but he's certainly way ahead of Calvin Phillips, who is a very good player, but the level that we expect, he can't get there. And there's nothing about him, absolutely nothing about him that he's better than Rodri. There's nothing about him that's better than Kovacic. There's nothing about him that's better than Nunes that we signed from Wolves. But he's a nice guy, and I hope he gets the move that he wants this January, and that he can resurrect his career and get in the England team. But for Jamie Redknapp to say that, I mean, that's crazy stuff.
I think he does it. I think he does it to spark a reaction. I think that's what he does, because
but even if you're doing that to do what you're saying, Steve, there's some things that are just so ludicrous. Like it's not even a reaction, is it? You just look like a numpty by saying so. I don't know. I've not watched Calvin Phillips a lot, so I was like, maybe I suppose he watches him every week. I'll ask Kev when I see him, and it's been shut down immediately.
It just goes to show. It just goes to go. Sometimes, we think that we know less than them. I think when people come out with them type of statements, sometimes you think, maybe we do know a little bit more, just as much. So, Rodri was outstanding. Me and Kevin was having a conversation last week with the Rice thing. I mean, I said he'd been best, was the best so far this season. But I'm not. I wouldn't say that Rice is the better player overall as a player. Now,
do you see him as different players though? Because I don't see Rodri as like a Declan Rice out and out DM, like a destroyer like Rice, if that makes sense. I mean, for me personally, Steve, Rodri would be the better player, but as a DM solely destroyer, maybe you can put Rice in that conversation. But I'd have Rodri above him as a player. Yeah,
I mean, I don't watch Rodri as much as I do Declan Rice. So Kevin might. He'll correct me, but maybe he doesn't watch Rice as much as Rodri, so it could be. But as I said, I'm not saying one's better than the other. I do think, in 4 or 5 weeks' time, we might be saying Rodri is the player should be in the player of the season. But I think up to last week he was, but Rice was. But as I said, not sort of comparing the two and who's better. I wasn't doing that. But
no.
Yeah, Rice is someone who's been fantastic for Arsenal, and he's someone who he just does a bit of everything. He drives with the ball, he drives through the midfield, he's powerful, and when he gets into the final third, you expect that he could score a goal as well at the same time. So which again is, I think Kevin will say, Rodri does as well. So they're two players.
They're both fantastic players.
Yeah, Rodri's a little bit ahead of him at the moment, and as I said again, like I said last week, there's 4 years different in age, so there's we'll see. I think it's unfair to compare Rice with Rodri at this moment in time. It is unfair to compare a lot of Arsenal players with Man City players at this moment in time.
That's going to be your next point, Steve. I think Rodri plays for Man City, the best team in the world at the moment.
Exactly.
So, not that it's easier, but it's just a different setup, isn't it? He can do exactly what he wants without having to worry.
Absolutely.
Arsenal lose one player, and then Rice has to do more work, don't they? Man City. Although they've lost De Bruyne, and do you know what? They've not. Would you say? Sorry, Kev. Would you say you've struggled without De Bruyne? Is that been the key element missing from your team for the last couple of months, where you've not been the Man City that I know of over the last few years? I think he's frozen.
I think he's frozen, yeah.
Yeah, he's got. Well, let me ask you then on to Kevin De Bruyne. Where do you rate? I was going to ask Kevin, where do you rate him in the pantheon, of greatest centre mids? Is he up? Is he number one for you yet?
What, De Bruyne?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be. He's got to be up there. I think when I was watching him, we know what he's done. We know what he's done in the past. We know how good he is. But I think certain things, make him. You start to put him up into that era, probably one of the greatest midfield players of all time, and he's got to come into that, mate. He's definitely got to come into that, to be out for that amount of time and come on and do what he's done the weekend. Is very rare, and
it's magnificent.
Yeah, he's definitely up, up there. But hopefully,
do you have him as number one? No, do you have him as number one? I've seen a lot of conversation putting him, for me, obviously as a Man United fan, Scholes is right there, but I can appreciate that De Bruyne is probably a better player than Scholes in all round everything.
As a footballer, as a footballer and for the way that Man City play, yeah, because I think systems has got a lot to do with teams as well. You hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, this player would get in your team, or that player would get in that team," but that players might not get in that team because that player plays a different system and he wouldn't be as good in that team. So you say Scholes and De Bruyne, but would De Bruyne fit into that team? You don't know. You don't know if he was actually there. But there's no there's no doubt that he's absolutely quality. I don't know where Kevin is, but hopefully you'll get back to us soon. But
I've been very nice. I've been really nice as well, and he's still there.
But he might not be. He might not be too nice after what I was going to bring up next. So maybe he's had a little sneaky work at my paperwork and knows what's coming. But what I will do, I mean, we've already spoke about Rodri, and we've already mentioned how good he was. I mean, and he was, but should he have been on the football field? During because personally. Hopefully Kevin will come back and he can have his say. I think he should have been sent off, and for me, he gets away with blue murder sometimes on a football match. And I know Kevin is mentioned a couple of weeks ago, so I've got receipts. The one thing he hates is players who here he comes now, who surround the referee. So Kevin's back. Can you hear me, Kev? You all right? You're mute. Mute. Can you hear me, Kev? He's on mute, and he can't.
He's back now. He's back.
You hear me, Kev? Can you hear me?
His mic's gone. For me,
no, it's good. You're on mute, Kev. You're mute.
The mic's not connected. Listen, I'm a Man United fan, so I can't really talk about players surrounding the referee because you've only got to go back 15 years and look at Roy Keane. Well, 20. Oh God, I'm getting old. 20 years. Roy Keane, Scholes, Beckham.
But in today, what we're saying though is, Garth, in today's climate, you don't do it, and most teams get punished for when you surround the referee. You get booked. I've seen players get sent off this season. How Man City just get away with it for me every time.
Listen, it does feel sometimes the top teams get a little bit more leeway. I mean, something like dissent, it comes down to the referee's opinion, doesn't it? I suppose whether it was, and this is the problem they've got. They need to be consistent with it because Dalot got sent off only a couple of weeks ago, didn't he? For getting a yellow, then screwing at the ref, then a second yellow come out. So either they've got to stick to that rule permanently, in which case you're entirely right, Steve. He should have been. That is what we're talking about, isn't it? Yeah. Was it the same?
Yeah, he'd already had a yellow, and then he just went on an FU tirade. If you read his lips, you could see what he was saying, and he got nothing. So,
in which case the referees have to apply the standard throughout, and this is always the problem with football referees, isn't it? Mm-hmm. That it's not consistent. One week you're getting sent off for that, the next week it's not. Personally, as I've always said on these shows, I'm from a rugby background, mate. So you know what I mean, like dissent against the referee, that is not allowed, and it's so easy to stamp it out. You literally do what they're saying they're going to do. Yellow card. The moment you know what I mean. The moment you start swearing at me, the moment when I used to ref at Sunday League, that's what I'd say to him. Well, I know he's done it a few times. But I'd say before the game, like, if you swear at me, if you touch me, it's an immediate yellow card. And if you keep going, I'll send you off. That is how it is. And so it's so simple to do it. Mm-hmm. It's whether he should or not, again, comes down to referee. I see you think he should then. Do you think like 100% he should have gone, do you think?
I'm with you. I think he should. I mean, look, I'm one of these players, people who I like a bit of rough stuff on the football pitch. I like a bit of... sometimes I look at it today, I think it's, the referee's treated like a non-contact sport. And I don't want the game to be turned into that. But I think, my team, Arsenal, your team, Manchester United, we've both been, in situations this season where our players have got sent off for having the first yellow card and then afterwards getting dissent. And it was quite a talking point afterwards, and no one could understand why Rodri got away with what he did. And he's quite like a serial. He does this often. So yeah, I'm all for like talking to the ref, and we used to have back in the old days. We used to be able to say, "Oh, for fuck's sake, ref," do you know what I mean? Leave it out. I'd love that could come back, and you could have a laugh after. Great, but we're in a different climate now. One all for one and one for all. If someone's going to get treated one way, then the other team's got to be done and all.
Yeah, 100%. Mate, it's my only red card. The only red card I ever received in my career, amateur career, obviously, was for calling the ref a cheat. Like that's the only red card I've ever received. I got no swearing or anything. I literally just like, you're a cheat, mate. You're a cheat.
Yeah.
It's just straight red because you're not allowed to call the ref a cheat. You're not allowed to bring him his impartiality into disrepute. Yeah, but I know it's not agree with you. I don't like dissent on the football pitch. I don't like, as I say, from the rugby background I'm from. I think the referee needs to have more authority. I think that. And I thought they were going the right way with it, but now you're mentioning the Rodri thing. You're right. Like, how has he got away with it? If they're going, if this is the new standard, yeah, no, it's a fair shout.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time. And I was interested to hear what Kev had to say because he's an advocate of. He hates when players surround the ref. He hates that. It's like definitely one of his things in football he hates most. So I was interested to hear what he would have had to say when his own team did it. So, but it's
always different when it's your own team.
Swerved it.
You are right. I'm just looking it up. Rodri's got a bit of history for this, isn't he? Should have been sent off against Liverpool fans saying. Should have obviously been. Yeah, should have been. Did he get sent off against Forest for dissent as well? Red card, Yeah, no, I know that Pep's even come out and said that he can't control himself. So now it's a fair shout, to be fair. Hey,
here he is. Let's hope we've got some sound that Kevin can give us his. Let's get him back in, or maybe not. Oh, here he is.
We kept it warm for you, mate.
We've got a blank screen there, Kev. Can you see us or hear us?
Oh, this is the live TV, everyone. Technical issues.
Yeah.
We need the little doop come up. Oh, we've got double Kev.
Oh, right.
No, we can hear you, mate.
Well, we can hear you anyway, Kev. I mean, you're too good looking for this show anyway, so this probably does us all a favour.
Listen, I've had to log on my phone, but I think I've sort of logged on. I'm still logged on my PC, so I'm getting this.
Okay. Well, look, we can hear you all right. I mean, look, we've just been chatting. I mean, I don't know if you heard what we were saying. We spoke last week, and we know sort of. How do you feel about the situation that sort of which didn't get talked about that much after the game, and rightly so, to be honest with you, because we should be concentrating on the football. But I know for a fact that you're an advocate of why you hate players surrounding the ref, and there was a lot of people that was saying that Rodri should have had a second yellow and should have been sent off. Do you feel there's a problem with Rodri? Do you feel there's a problem with City? How do you feel being a City fan that just seems to be happening a little bit, more often, or is it just something the top teams seem to do? Kevin, I don't think he liked that question.
He ain't having it, Steve. He don't want to hear this question, mate. Move on. If we move on, he might come back.
Right. Well, get on to the other side of Manchester. Red.
Do we have to, mate?
The red side. The red.
I was enjoying talking about good football. Come on.
Yeah. 2-2 draw. At home to Spurs. I watched the game. My feelings on it, although I was watching the game with kids jumping on my head and screaming, so I might have missed a few bits of it. But I thought it was a decent first half from Manchester United. From what I see, Haaland,
lovely goal.
Second goal of the season. Fantastic finish. Rashford on the score sheet. Another positive. I want to get to Rashford afterwards as well. I want to ask you your feelings about him. Spurs did get back into it. They from their new player who's all of a sudden found a new lease of life. Ricarlison, although it was bad defending from Manchester United, but overall not too bad performance in the first half. But yeah, look, second half weren't great, mate, was it?
No, dreadful performance. To be fair, even the first half, mate, the signs were there. We scored 2 very nice goals, is what, like, at the end of the day, that sort of papered over the fact that Spurs, when they attacked us, we were all over the gaff. Our defending at corners is atrocious. You saw them going to score. You know, this zonal marking thing. Like, obviously, I'm sure there's sports data scientists out there that say you concede less goals if you play this zonal marking system in the corners, but that's if you've got the personnel able to do it. We don't. You know, we're sticking Kobe Mainoo underneath 6'2" players, and he's getting out muscled and out jumped. It's foolishness, in my opinion, to stick with it. But yeah, and then in the second half, I mean, we're so lucky we walked out of the point. We're so lucky. I mean, I'm seeing some of these stats. We had 36% possession at home. You know, I mean, I know you were saying earlier, Kev, like you don't see teams have 27 shots away from home very often. You do when you're a Man United fan, mate. You see it every other week. You see it every other week at Old Trafford, bro. So, I don't know what's going on. I mean, thankfully, Martinez and Casemiro look like they're back now, and we did look much stronger when Martinez was in there. Hopefully, that can kick our season on a little bit. But I've got no answers there. I feel for Eric Ten Hag, because I've got no answers to what's wrong with this team apart from the down tools. And I hate saying that about professionals. I don't believe a professional with down tools. You know what I mean? It's not like but yeah, very lucky to walk away with a point. Our style of play is non-existent apart from in little moments. But I mean, like in the second half, Steve, did you see what I was like? A team just not there. Does that make sense? Like they just weren't there. You know what I mean? Like
there was nothing, mate. Was there? I mean, as I say, I tried to watch as much as the game was on, and tried to take it in. But what would worry me if I was a Man United fan, and I'd like to hear what you got to say on it, mate. Is that Eric Ten Hag, not just Eric Ten Hag, just all managers. I mean, does it? I mean, when you're 9 times out of 10, when it's half time and you're down, you expect your team. You could tell that Spurs were getting in the game, and even though it was 2-1 to United, you had this feeling that Spurs were going to get something out of the game if something didn't change. That was the feeling from I think everybody who was watching the game. There was just nothing the second half. I mean, so what is Ten Hag telling them in the dressing room? How do Man United fans feel when they see their team come out and just? I mean, you're in the dressing room. You come on, we're going to go this. We're 2-1. This is we're 2-1 up. This is what we want to do from the off. We want to do, and then in seconds you're 2-2. How do you feel?
As a fan, it's expected, mate. At the moment, it's expected. We're so all over the gaff as a football team that I never like. I remember as the second half kicked off, the commentator was like, "Oh, Man United haven't lost a game after leading half-time in the Premier League since whatever it was, September 2014." I was like, "Well, we're about to break that record as well. That's going to go today." And yeah, they walked it into the net. We've got a lot of players that are they're 50% of the finished products. You know what I mean? We're playing with a 36-year-old at the back who's lost his pace, even though he's got the brain, in Johnny Evans. Varane, he's in Saudi Arabia, isn't he? His brain's he's in Saudi Arabia. That's where he is. He don't want to get injured, so he's still our best defender, which is the worst thing. We've got a team full of mercenaries who are there mainly for the money. In my opinion, it's just. But again, you can say that about a lot of players, and I wonder if a lot of these players went to different teams. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, most of these wouldn't get into the Man City team, but they perform a hell of a lot better for Man City than they are for us. They perform a lot better at Arsenal than they are for us.
Why do you think that is, Garth?
Bottom line is, you have to put that. Like I always say this about Solskjaer, the buck stops with the gaffer. I don't want to see him get the sack, but these performances can't continue. At the end of the day, it stops with him. He is trying things without the personnel. You know what I mean? We've got a 20-year-old raw striker up front. You know what I mean? Like our striker is like Man City got Alvarez, ain't they? Is there? But that's Hoyland. He's not meant to be. He's meant to be getting like into the groove and getting better and like so on and so forth. You know what I mean? Look at Alvarez. They gave him a year, and that's a year and a half, two, and like he's grown into his role. We're putting all this pressure on a 20-year-old. We're now putting all this pressure on Kobe Mainoo. This is what I was trying to say to you the other day about Kobe Mainoo. Like he's decent, but you could see it in that game. He ain't got the athleticism to last 90 minutes, really. And he's too small, and he's an 18-year-old boy. You know, he's getting muscled. Richarlison just plowed through him. It's so many things wrong with this club. You know what I mean? Also, I don't. Do you know anything about Ratcliffe wanting to get rid of Ten Hag, Steve? I keep hearing these rumours. I don't know if you've got anything that you've heard about that.
Not really. I mean, it just seems that they're going to, see how he does at the end of the season, and if they don't get European football, then there's a decision to make. Kev, I don't know if you see the match and see what your thoughts on it, but we're just talking there about Erik Ten Hag. I think it's 10 wins now, 10 losses this season. Things just don't seem to be getting any better. Do you think it's time for him to pull the bullet?
Listen, as a City fan, I think it's definitely not the time to pull the bucket. I think I think Ten Hag should stay. They should offer him a new contract.
10 more years. 10 more years for Ten Hag.
10 more years, yeah. Listen, I don't know what it is at United. I must be honest, when they appointed Ten Hag, based on his record in Holland, then you would have thought that was a good choice, to be honest with you. I think we've had this conversation before, Steve. I think there is a massive gap between playing for a top team in the Netherlands and playing for a top team in England. So from a playing point of view, they've certainly overspent on Anthony, haven't they? It's ridiculous the amount of money that they paid for him. But I did think that Ten Hag probably would work for United because I do think it's slightly different from a coaching point of view. But again, we've had this conversation before. Maybe he stumbled on a formation last season because there was a period of time, certainly towards the end of the season, where they seem to have a formation, they seem to have a plan. I don't know what Ten Hag wants this Manchester United team, this Manchester United squad to do. I don't know whether he knows.
You don't see an identity, Kev, with him?
No, there's no identity. None at all. None at all. You see an identity in City, certainly. You see an identity in Liverpool. You see an identity in Arsenal, and you're starting to see an identity, even though I have a little bit of sympathy for him. You're starting to see an identity in Chelsea, in that now that I think he's got Pochettino in his own mind, he's got a formation, he's got a style of play. I just don't see that what Ten Hag is about. I just don't see it. But the problem is, and listen, if I'm a United fan, by the way, I would have to say, I saw an interview with him, I think it was last week, where Ten Hag was talking about the project. I don't get that. How he can be talking about a project at Manchester United now, when they've given him an absolute... It's not just about the money, but it's the way that you spend it. But when they've given him... They gave him the goalkeeper that he wanted. They gave him, the striker that he wanted. They gave him the midfield player that he wanted. The whole spine of that team are the players that Ten Hag wanted, and he's overpaid for most of them. And for him now to be talking about the project, if I was a United fan, then thank God I'm not, but if I was United fan, it would be driving me absolute crazy.
Yeah.
But like I say, do I think they should get rid of him? No.
What are you both saying?
Go on, mate. Sorry.
Sorry, I was going to say what you're both saying about what you touched on there, Kev, at the end of last season. This is the problem with Ten Hag. I felt like this with Arteta in the early days, Steve, as well. It feels like there's no plan B with him. He's got his formation and his style, which is this attacking, high-pressing team, inverted wing-backs, or one inverted wing-back that comes into the centre midfielder moves out to the wing. But without our starting 11 of Casemiro, Martinez, Luke Shaw, it doesn't work. The players aren't good enough, and yet he just doesn't seem to want to change that at all. He doesn't seem to be able to get us a system that works with the talent we've got there at the moment. You know what I mean? You're trying to play a high line in games with Evans and Maguire at the back, and no disrespect to either of them. They're both decent centre-backs, but literally, I could run 1,000 meters before they could run 100 meters. Both of them. But so I don't know. It's weird. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I think the lucky thing he's got is what's going on at the boardroom level. So there's the everyone up the top isn't looking at him at the moment. They're looking at each other's what jobs they've got, and who's out there to replace him. I'll throw that at you, and yourself, Kev. Who would you replace Ten Hag with at the moment?
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's anybody, mate. That's the only reason. That's why I said last week as well. There's no. If I'm putting myself as a Man United fan, and I can see reasons why I just don't think Ten Hag's going to work. I think there's more things that said he's not going to work than that are going to work. Things like he's, because there's no identity, because of his signings, because of the position in the league, and because they've been knocked out of the Champions League. You're Man United. I know that's the old, you're not the Man United of old, but you're still Man United. This isn't good enough. And for me, this is the worst you've been for a long time. From as far as I can, but this is worse than Ollie for me.
100% worse than Ollie.
Worse than Ollie. So
United fans wouldn't like it, but I do think that a good choice for Manchester United, and bear with me for a minute, would be Potter. For two reasons. I think he worked with a worse squad than Ten Hag has got at United at Brighton, and did very well with them. But certainly what he does have, he has a style of play that I think that he could make that squad at Manchester United. Because listen, they have got some very, very good footballers. They have got some, you were saying before, that, if you go through the squad, there are some very, very good footballers in there. But unfortunately, Ten Hag is not getting out of those players what he should be. I think that Potter would be able to do that. Now, in a way, United fans will probably think that Potter's not good enough for Manchester United, but he has proved it in the Premier League, and that's why Chelsea gave him the job. And I don't think in hindsight, Chelsea will probably look at him and think that they might have reacted a little bit too quickly to get rid of him, because if they look where they are now, compared to where they were under Potter, they were actually better. So I would not be surprised if they do make a decision that Potter would definitely be in the running for that. And if he was, I think he would do all right, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
But the problem is they've now dropped so far behind Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Spurs. There's a lot of catching up to do. And now that is an area where I think United fans would probably accept the project word, because the project would start right at the start of Potter's taking over. But they're certainly not going to accept this project line now, when Ten Hag has been there for so long and has managed to sign the players that he wanted to sign. So don't be surprised. Personally, I agree. Listen, you would look at the top coaches in world football. They're all secured, aren't they? They're all tied down. They're not going to move to Manchester United now. But also, you would probably say De Zerbi at Brighton must be in with a shout, because again, because of
that's what I'd go for.
he's got a style of play. I think the players that he's getting the absolute best out of at Brighton overall are not better than the squad that Manchester United have. So I think one of those two are more than likely to be in with a shout, and they would probably go with Potter because I think De Zerbi's got a £13 million buyout clause now, hasn't he?
I think,
no, Man United will pay 20. We'll pay 27 for that. You know, would you say 13 or 30? Sorry, 3-0. I think.
I mean,
one, three.
Yeah, so we'll pay double that then. You know what I mean? As it's Man United, old Murtog madness.
Well, maybe to be fair, under Ratcliffe, they probably won't pay that now. I think there would be more structured. I think, and listen, it's not going to happen overnight, but I do think that they will be more structured under Ratcliffe than they have been in the past, because everybody agrees the amount of money that they've paid for some of those players is crazy, to be honest with you.
It goes back years as well, Kate. It goes back years. Like, you look at some of the random players that we've signed on. Like, it cost us, I think, in the end, like 13 mil to loan that Igalo in.
Crikey, Charles.
You know what I mean? Like, what's going on there? Like, et cetera, et cetera. It's madness. And I think, and listen, this is where, as a Man United fan, we've got to realise where we are now. You know, Man United fans may recoil at the name of Graham Potter or De Zerbi. We are not Man United from 10, 15 years ago. This is our level now. This is the level we're at. You know what I mean?
They probably wouldn't with De Zerbi, I think. I think they probably would accept De Zerbi, but the reality is, I don't think Potter's that far away from being at that level. I don't. I think the
problem is that where Man United are at the moment, and whether Man United fans would accept this, I don't know. But I think Man United are in a similar situation to where Arsenal was. Garth, alluded to it a little while ago, right? Where they got a manager in who was inexperienced, but he had a brain, right? A little bit similar to De Zerbi, yeah? Someone who's intelligent, knowledgeable, got an excellent way of playing football, right? I mean, he's been lauded all over the world. And then get him in and then just start again. Rip it up. Forget this. Stop going in for the Casemiro. Stop going in for the Mounts. Stop going in for the Ericssons. Get rid of the Maguires. Get rid of the Evans. Get rid of Rashford. I'm not maybe Bruno because he does keep him there, but get rid of them. Get rid of them. It's. I know people like Rashford but he can't keep doing this. I mean, against Spurs the weekend, he was a disgrace for me.
Oh, Marcus Rashford.
I thought so. Yeah,
he was one of our best players on the pitch, Steve.
Well, I thought
an assist and a goal.
Mate,
an assist and a goal.
Don't give me assist, Garth. He ran into it. Right, that's still not an assist. No. That's not an assist.
On paper.
No,
it is on paper. And all right, take the assist out.
He ran into him.
He scored a lovely goal.
The goal was a good goal.
Yeah, I know you don't like Rashford, man. I know, but honestly, he was our best player. He was our best player on Sunday.
I've listened to Man United. I don't watch Man United. I mean, I've listened to what Man United fans say about him. I've watched him, and from what I can see, people have just had enough of his laziness.
His attitude
stinks. Right. Apparently, the weekend. I mean, I didn't see this. I'm just from what I've seen. Right. He wasn't running back. He wasn't going back to mark his man. He was just wobbling around.
Yeah, That's what I said to you last time. Don't listen to these Man United fans on Twitter, man, because that's nonsense. At half time, if you listen to the punditry, every one of the pundits was saying that this is Marcus Rashford's best 45 minutes this season. Every one of them said that, man. Admittedly, the second half, the whole team didn't play very well, but he was, for me, pound for pound, one of the best players on the pitch for Man United on Sunday, man. Yeah, I agree with you with his attitude at the moment. I don't know what's going on with him again. His attitude's all over the gaff. But Sunday
and what it is, Garth. No, but that's but you can't keep having a player who's like that. I've watched football a long time. I'll bow down to whatever you say about Rashford regarding how you watch him, because you watch him more than me. But his attitude stinks.
Right on the football pitch, mate. Every
right?
player at Man United, this is the problem.
And this is something. I'm someone who likes to give players chances. Yeah, I'm not quick to jump on players' back. That's why I get so annoyed with people like on Arsenal Fan TV and other Arsenal podcasts who once they've won 2 bad games, they want them out or they're sacked or they waste the money. You know, I don't like to be in that crowd. I like to watch and see what happens over a period of time. And Rashford is too on and off. And for Manchester United, and I'm bigging up Man United here as an institution and as a club, they need to get rid of people like that. Because there's players like there. I'm not joking. Yeah, I'm not talking about.
I know what you're saying. I just think there's more rot.
I'd have Anthony Gordon all day over Marcus Rashford.
No,
right now, I'd have Anthony Gordon. No, I'm not saying ability wise. Right now, I'd have Anthony Gordon all
what
day
you're talking about, though, Steve, walks straight into the problem with maybe a Potter or De Zerbi. Is we've got this player power thing at the club, and I don't know whether Potter. Maybe you disagree here, Kev, and say I don't think Potter comes in and is able to control these players. Eric Ten Hag can't.
That's why I think they've got to go, Garth. That's why I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
So I'll give you that. Like, bottom line is, though, who's buying Marcus Rashford? He's on nearly $400,000 a week. We've got him for another 5 years. You know what I mean? So
listen, I would agree with you, Garth. I thought against Spurs, I think Rashford was probably United's best player. I think he's not shown that. Hold on, bear with me a minute. He's not shown that form. He's not shown that form often enough for me, to be honest with you. I don't think you can question his ability. Now, it may well be that he's just not happy about things that are happening at Manchester United. He might not be happy in the coaching that Ten Hag is giving to him, and that's not particularly about. That's all on the minute.
Too bad. You get enough money, you get told to what you do. You chase back. You run back. You chase your marker. You don't stand up there. You do as you're told. That's what I don't like, mate. I've had it from Arsenal, I've had it with Ozil, I've had it with Aubameyang, I had it with William. I could go for Arsenal players who just was like, couldn't be bothered. I can't be bothered to run back. And we just got rid.
Yeah, but I think as supporters sometimes, we find the easy option to be critical, don't we, of footballers? You know, oh, he doesn't work hard enough, or now that he signed his new contract, life is comfortable for him. Oh, he's broken up with his girlfriend, so his head's not in the right place. Ultimately, for me, it's about the coach. It is about the coach. Now,
how many coaches though, Kev? Do you want Man United to have that these players have got to throw under the bus?
Yeah, but Rashford was prior to Ten Hag. Rashford was playing very, very well. You would have to say under all the previous coaches.
That was last season, mate. Then you'd go the season before he was off, and then he was on, and then he went. It's like what I'm saying is the most annoying thing. What I don't got is why I'm sort of a little bit not irate, but sort of angry with him, with Marcus Rashford, is because on his day he walks into the England side, walks in.
Well, that's a problem, mate. He should run into it.
Right. No, you know what I'm saying. He should be in that England side starting because he's got the ability, right, to be an absolute. And he frustrates me.
So what is preventing him from replicating that form for Manchester United? The only thing that can possibly, really, in my mind, is that stopping him from replicating his England form is the coach. I just don't get the whole
every coach?
No, because prior to Ten Hag, he was doing the business. The reason he got in the England squad
last year, though, mate. That was last year. The season before that, he was poor. Then he
was under Ten Hag, though, as well. That was Ten Hag. He was under Ten Hag last year and scored 30 goals, got 11 assists. The season before, he had a bad season, 5 goals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Garth.
That's the only.
Right, is it?
But before then,
I think if you look at that Manchester United team, listen, if you look at it, Rashford must look at Anthony and think, crikey, when's he going to cross that ball?
That's another conversation, that is.
You know,
I was trying to say, Steve, Rashford's the least of my problems. He's the least of our problems, is Rashford.
I agree with you. I agree with you. And there would be somebody, Listen, I would not be surprised. I know you were saying who's going to sign over 400 grand a week. I bet PSG would. If Marcus Rashford, if
Don't know about
Marcus
him now, though.
Rashford sent this, no, he would. If Marcus Rashford sent the signal out that he's happy to leave Manchester United, the one team, I guarantee you, the one team that would step in and pay whatever was wanted as a fee and pay him whatever he wanted to earn would be PSG. I guarantee you.
I think
Because
De Zerbi would come into that. I think if he was Manchester United, there's a possibility that he might be able to get something out of them. Because
no, it would. Because I tell you what, he would definitely play.
He basically doesn't take any shit. Right? It's
Neither does Ten. This is my
I don't know, mate. I don't know, but with Ten Hag,
Ronaldo, Sancho suggests he don't take anything, mate. You know what I mean? And that's the problem. We've got players who are prima donnas.
He does seem to have his. I mean,
I think he was Anthony. I think he tried to play in a form. I think he tried to play him in a form and it hasn't worked. I think the Anthony thing, he tried to like the favourites. I think he tried to play Anthony in a form. It hasn't worked because he just ain't the player he thought he was.
But this is keeps playing him.
But people like listen. I don't like McTominay as a player
instead of Varane.
Yeah, that's because we're selling him, mainly. You know what I mean. But McTominay, listen, I don't think he's a great player, but he's the sort of player you're talking about, Steve. You're talking about players who play for the badge, who give everything they've got. Yeah, he's not very good.
But his ability ain't great. But he does. No. At least he's. When I see some of them sort of running around, that's again, Garth. It goes back a little bit to the like. You know, at least they give. You can see them try. They may not have the ability. They may be shit. But you know, if you're going to give anything, at least try and show me that you're trying.
Bottom line is, I don't think anyone here sees Ten Hag at Man United at the end of the season if we finish in 7th, do we? Do either of you see him at the club? I certainly don't. You know what I mean? I don't see him there. So
no,
I don't know who comes in. Obviously, there was a lot of talk about Conte, but if they can't handle Ten Hag's iron fist, they ain't going to handle Conte very well, are they? So
last thing on Manchester United, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, please do.
These are my therapy sessions, mate. These are my therapy sessions.
Don't worry, there will be a little bit of Man United just towards the end of the show. So, but it was like last season. Did Man United overachieve? And is this season really where they are?
I don't think overachieve. I've been saying it's not overachieve. We shouldn't. I think it's the wrong way to put it. I think it's because we achieved what we should have achieved as Man United. The money we spent, two cup finals, 1 cup win, top 4, but it papered over the cracks. That is fundamentally wrong with this team.
Yeah, I got you.
I agree with what you're saying, Steve, about Rashford. Like players are, I agree with you to a point about his mentality. There's too many players in this squad.
Me, Garth. Really frustrates. Any player
too quick.
Anything.
Yeah, they're too quick to just not give 100%. And I think us winning a trophy and then getting into the Champions League, it's not that it was overachieving; it papered over the cracks of what's fundamentally wrong at this football club, and it's made us think that we're better than we actually are. It's bad.
I think that's perfect. I think that you've put it perfectly, mate. There, the way you've said that. So I think 100% right. Right, look, but what we're going to do, we're just going to calm it down a bit. We're going to, I don't know, I'm going to say have a little bit of fun, but it might not turn into that, I think in the end. What we're going to do, we're going to do a quick half-term report with the Super 6. So on the Super 6, we're going to do a quick half-term report. Nothing too major, just a quick, rundown on where we think that these teams are at this season, and whether they're an F or an A+. So this what we're going to do anyway. Look, we're going to start with the enigma that is Chelsea. They spent £1 billion on new players in recent times. They're sitting. I think they're sitting 8th now in the Premier League. Pochettino, they seem to be getting back to a bit of form, but as I say, sitting 8th. Cole Palmer's come in. He seems to be doing bits there at the moment. But yeah, look, this Chelsea, how would you rate their season so far, Kev?
Where would I rate their season so far? Well, I mean, they've definitely underachieved. You can't say that they've not, based on the amount of money that they've spent, including, by the way, in the summer. Again, they must have spent £500 million in the summer, I think, from memory. They have moved players on. They've definitely underachieved, but I think this is slightly different than the Manchester United situation in that I do think Pochettino knows what he wants. But the problem is, what he doesn't want is the squad of players that has been bought for him. And I'm not sure he's going to be able to change that very, very quickly. If as is almost likely, Chelsea don't qualify for the Champions League, you may find that Pochettino is removed and they bring another coach in from somewhere. Again, if they get to the end of the season, that might well be De Zerbi from Brighton. It's a club that is absolutely just in a total mess. I quite like that, to be honest with you. Mark's
yeah, me too. Yeah, can't stand Chelsea. Hate them.
Marks out of 10. Listen, I'll be generous and give them a 4.
So what would that be on a report card, Kev?
Must do better, but the reality is they will not be able to in the current situation. Must do better, can't do better.
About a D then. Sounds like about a D.
Sounds like my school report card. No, listen, I agree with everything Kev said there. I think I agree with everything Kev said there. I honestly believe that Chelsea need to give Pochettino 2-3 seasons because he's a great manager and he can get anything out of anyone. He just needs to be able to work. These ain't the players he wanted. He's got a load of youngsters as well. It's almost like I play a football manager game. It's called Football Manager, and like it's almost like he went on that game and looked at all of the young prospects in the world, like, yeah, we're going to sign all of these, Todd Bowley. So, yeah, I have him. Listen, Chelsea, they're down in a D/F, ain't they? You can't give them any more than a D/F with the money they spend and where they are at the moment. But, yeah, they need to give Poch time. They really
not do. Not too bad. Yeah, so let's go on to the next one quickly. Liverpool, how would you rate their season so far, Kev?
I think they're... I said at the start of the season that I thought that Liverpool would be the main challengers to City for the Premier League. I think that's no disrespect to Arsenal. We had a conversation last week, didn't we, about Arsenal. We'll come on to them in a minute, so I'll cover that then. But I think Liverpool, to be fair to them, listen, they're in, they're progressing well in Europe. They're still in the FA Cup. They're in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup and the top of the Premier League. So how can you not give them maximum marks at the moment? Where they are at the moment is slightly above where you would expect them to be generally, but they're doing magnificently well. So yeah, it's if it's an out of 10 score, you would probably give Liverpool 11.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely, mate. Garth?
Nothing like one defeat all season, top of the league. There's nothing more you can say, is it? Yeah, they're top of class at the moment, mate. Yeah, A-star, top of class.
Yeah. One defeat, and really they was robbed. With that one as well. Do I think they'll win the league? No, I still think they're a little bit short. I think they'll maybe still say that they need a number 6, although Farrell will argue against that. But I think if you're going to win the league, you need a Rodri, you need a Rice, you need a Casemiro of some sort, that type of player. And for me, Liverpool ain't got that player. I think that'll come to haunt them at the end of the season. But I agree with what you say. At the moment, it's got to be like an A+ for them, isn't it? They're where I never expected them to be where they are. So, big up to Liverpool at this moment and in time. But we'll quickly go on to Tottenham. They've just brought in Ange. He's doing really well. They've got a lot of players out at the moment, but they still seem to be picking up performances. Will they last? I'm not too sure. but they've had a decent start to the season, Kev.
Yeah, they've had a great start to the season, to be fair to them. I like Postecoglou, he would have been perfect for Manchester United, wouldn't he? In hindsight, United fans must look at the Tottenham style of play and think, wow, that's what we're missing out of. But he's done absolutely great for Spurs. I'm not sure they've got the depth in their squad, although they seem to be doing some work in January, but I'm not sure they've got the depth in their squad to make a real challenge. But the football they play is fantastic. As a neutral, they're brilliant to listen. I wouldn't normally watch a Manchester United game. Sorry, Gav, I wouldn't normally watch a Manchester United game.
I know, mate. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, mate. Yeah.
I wanted to watch it yesterday because it's Spurs, and you know that something's going to happen. You know that they're not going to ever feel that they're out of any game. And that's great. As a neutral, you're not turning into a 0-0 boring team coming somewhere and just, parking the bus. Not at all. So, again, I think Spurs at the moment are probably an 11 out of 10. I think the only disappointment from a Spurs point of view is that they seemed to almost decide in the Carabao Cup game that they played that it was just a competition too many for them. Whereas I think they would have had a real chance. The way that they play football, they would have had a real chance. But yeah, I'd give Spurs an 11 out of 10. And hopefully, when we play them in the FA Cup, they have an off day.
Yeah, Kev, Tottenham done well this season. Can you see him keeping it up?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, listen. Yeah, sorry. Was that Kev? Sorry, my ear went there, mate.
I think that's for you, Garth. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, listen. I agree again. Yes. Keep it up. Oh. No, because I agree with Kev on that as well. I don't know if they've got the squad.
Timo Werner going to come in, set the Premier League alight?
No. Did we both watch? Did we both watch it? Timo Werner's exactly the same player still, isn't he? I know he got an assist, but yeah, his shots are wild. But yeah, I don't think they keep it up because, unless they stay injury free, and then that's a different matter entirely. But it doesn't happen anymore, and I can't agree anymore. I'd have them right up there as well. A-star. When you consider they lost Harry Kane, their talisman, their guaranteed 20-25 a season man. And it's almost like they've become freer as a team without him.
Yeah. Said that for years, Garth. Said it for years. I kept saying, sell Kane, sell him.
Is
get
it?
Get the money and start again.
Yeah.
I've said it for years. And
A-star, you know what I mean? I think of all the teams that could stop Arsenal getting into the Champions League if your form continues, it's Spurs. That's the only one, you know what I mean? So yeah, A-star 100%, or A, because they're not in the Champions League at the moment.
Yeah. I think they've done well. I think they've done really well. I won't go as far. I still feel there's elements of their game that needs strengthening, and there's times this season where they've I think they've let themselves down a little bit. With the way that he plays and Angie's way of this attacking way, which is it's very refreshing. But the idea is to win football matches. But to be fair to him, he's winning more than not. So, but I'd definitely give him like a B plus, because similar to Liverpool, I wouldn't have put them where they are this high up anyway.
It's going to be very interesting then to see what you give Arsenal, Steve, considering that their Spurs have done exactly what Arsenal have done.
Well, we'll go on to them now. We'll go on to them now. We'll go on to them now. And I suppose I might as well start. I mean, look, Arsenal this season, they've not been as easy in the eye as other seasons. Probably not as enjoyable to watch. But at the end of the day, it is all about getting results. But recently, we have been, losing more than probably what we should at this stage of the season. So that's not been good. I'm not someone to keep going. A lot of Arsenal fans go on about injuries. I'm not. Every club has injuries. I don't like when people go on about injuries. Yes, they make a difference, but it happens every year since the first football was kicked. So, and I don't like, when people keep bringing them up, because everybody has them. So that's not into my consideration. Yeah, I mean, up until recently, till Christmas, we was top of the league. So, but even then, there was something not right. You could see some bad results coming, and they did. The forward line ain't been the same. Saka, Martinelli, Jesus been poor this season. Been poor. Been well off what they were last season. Even though we look a bit stronger at the back, but yeah, definitely not where I thought we would be at the moment. Even if not so bad, 5 points off of Liverpool, 3 off City, you may have taken that, but because of the way we are at the moment and the style of play that we sort of are, I would say we're probably off of where I thought that we should be, or what I wanted us to be. So saying that, I would put Arsenal as a C so far this season, just because of standards and what I expect. I expect Arsenal to be an A, and they should be an A, and they're not. And I basically put that down to the front three, who have been absolutely, let's say it, they've been awful this season. They've been way off it. When you look at Liverpool and Man City's forwards and their goal scorers and how many they've got, as are just off it. Yeah. And people can dig into systems and who's out and what players have been brought in. Simple fact is the forwards have been shit. And or put it more blunt or more to the point, the forwards have not nowhere near their standards or levels where they should be. So for me, and if it carries on, third, fourth, I don't think, fourth maybe. I see what you're saying about Tottenham. I don't think that will happen because hopefully that Saka, Martinelli and Jesus has got so much more in their lockers to come that, there's so many levels, because we've already seen it, that I'm assuming that they would take it. But right now, yeah, look, for me, it's a C. Kev?
Steve, listen, we had this conversation last week. You know my thoughts on Arsenal. I think that they spent £100 million, even though one of the fees isn't going to be paid, but it's guaranteed. They spent virtually £100 million in the summer on Raya and Havertz. They should have spent that money on a striker. And I think you talked there about, the Arsenal forwards not for. Reality is Arsenal do not have a striker. Listen, I've seen Jesus play for City. He's a great footballer. He will put defences under pressure. He's not a striker. They just don't have one. So, like I said to you at the start earlier, when we talked about Liverpool, at the start of the season, I did think that Liverpool would be our main challengers because they'd made.
Perfect time for Kevin to freeze. That's all I can say to that. I disagree with Kevin, and he knows I disagree about the.
What about Jesus?
About
Raya?
No, Raya. We haven't even paid any money for Raya. That's getting paid in the summer, so there was no money paid out for him. So you can't take that.
I still think this is the thing. I've never thought Jesus was a 20-goal a season man, and you need a 20-goal a season man through the middle to win the Premier League, Steve. I think that's the case. That's what Kev's saying, and I agree with him entirely. Like, maybe not the 25 million we spent on Raya, but Havertz, as much as I like him as a player, was the wrong profile of player to buy. And that's coming from a Man United fan who've seen it for 5 years now. You need to win the Premier League. You need a minimum 20-goal a season striker.
He wasn't brought in for that, though, Garth. He wasn't.
But that's the point. You should.
No, that's the point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the point. And again, I don't dislike him as a footballer. I think he's quite clever, to be honest with you. But he's not what Arsenal needed, and I don't think they needed to change the goalkeeper. I seriously don't. The difference between these two goalkeepers is not enough for them to. To bring a £30 million goalkeeper on when they've got another goalkeeper.
I keep telling you, Kev, they've paid no money for Raya.
No, but they're
no money
committed to
for
buy
Raya.
him. The only reason that they haven't paid the fee yet is because of financial fair play.
Yes, but
That's the only reason.
At the end of the season, you get money for the Premier League, you get money for the Champions League.
Yeah, but
you get the summer budget.
Does that cost you a striker in the summer?
They haven't.
Does that cost you?
No,
because cost you a striker in the summer because you've got to spend 30 mil now on Raya. No, it doesn't. Sweet. Yeah.
No, because in the summer, Arsenal they've got a set money already put by for the summer, like all clubs do.
Fair play.
Yeah, and then you've got the money that you get from wherever you finish in the Premier League, and then you get the money, the incredible amounts of money that you get for when you're in the Champions League. So you can say that maybe if that 30 million, I mean, all right, if we had 50 million to spend in the summer, then you could call out Raya. But at the same time, unless I'm sure both of you will agree with me, Ramsdale's going in the summer.
Well, he should, definitely, yeah.
So there's your money.
I think one thing with the Ramsdale...
That's even like...
I think one thing with the Ramsdale Raya thing, though, Steve, as well, was like... Did you need... Like, I didn't understand the signing of Raya. I really don't. Like, but for you, is the improvement enough to warrant, like, causing the unrest in your team by bringing in Raya and just taking Ramsdale out? Like, I don't watch. Kieran said to me that Raya, like, there isn't much difference in them, but do you see a lot of, like... So, yeah, it's a weird signing. It's a weird sign. But anyway, obviously, it's not affecting your budget.
So they've actually, in a strange way, Arsenal have not done themselves any favours with Ramsdale because they've reduced the value of him because they signed Raya. And that's why it just struck me as being a little bit off.
They'll get good money for Raya, Kev. Don't worry about that.
In terms of Marks, they might end up getting more for Ramsdale than they paid for Raya, and that only proves that the decision is bonkers.
It's not if you not pay for it. See, this is what I mean. We've not paid for Raya. You got to remember.
But you committed to buy him. You've committed to buy him.
You've not. Yes,
you've committed to buy him.
Yes, we've committed to buy for him. Right. We're paying Brentford in the summer.
I guarantee you.
Ramsdale, we will get more for Ramsdale than what we've paid for Raya.
Yeah.
So therefore,
it's a bonkers decision.
It's not a thing, is it? If Raya starts to be proved to be the right choice, even if it's like City when they was throwing goalkeepers out left, right, and centre until they got the right one for what they wanted, nobody mentions that.
No, well, to be fair, hold on. He signed one goalkeeper. He signed one goalkeeper.
That's all. Did we say to go back to City then? Did we turn around and say, what's City doing? Why are they wasting money?
Everyone was like, what's going on when they dumped Joe Hart? And everyone was like, Pep's mad. What's he doing? Because Joe Hart was one of the rated as one of the best goalkeepers around. And they made the wrong decision, didn't they? They bought Barlow, who was probably even worse than Hart. And then they got Edison in. Yeah. So what my point here is I don't see Ramsdale as being the same situation. Like Ramsdale's quality, like it was proved right with Joe Hart because wherever he went after that, you saw that he had these massive flaws in his game.
I'm not saying like about how who's better.
No, it's just a weird one. But I don't think Ray is the problem. I think there's 65 million.
Ray's nowhere near the problem.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to have to go fairly soon, unfortunately. I guarantee you, though, that whatever they paid for Havertz, was it 65 million or something?
Yeah.
I guarantee you would have got Ollie Watkins for that in the summer. I guarantee you. Now you'd have to pay 100 million. Now you'd have to pay 100 million. Steve, don't tell me, please don't tell me that Havertz was a better signing than Watkins would have been. Please.
You're looking at it totally in the wrong way. That's all I'm trying to explain to you. Havertz was not brought in as a Watkins replacement, as a Tony replacement.
No, that's what you needed.
But you should have spent that money on a striker. That's the point. No. We're not saying Havertz was. We're not saying that Havertz is the replacement of the striker. But in my mind, and I'm not an Arsenal fan, so we don't watch him. And I'm guessing I'm talking for you here, Kev, as well, mate. It seems to us that you should have spent that money on a guaranteed 15, 20 goal a season striker. Now there ain't that many out there. Ollie Watkins is one of them, and I think you would have got him for 65, 70 mil.
In terms of Marks, I'll give Arsenal 8 out of 10 because actually they're achieving sort of what I expected them to achieve this season. So I'm not going to downgrade them. I think 8 out of 10.
Just do me a favour. You've got to please, and everybody out there, because we've got to stop this. Havertz is a striker who's been brought in as a forward.
No. We're not saying that, Steve. We're saying absolutely the opposite. We're saying the opposite, Steve. We're agreeing with you, by the way. The point we're making is Havertz is not what you needed. You needed a number 9.
For what Arteta wanted to do and the way he wanted Arsenal to play.
Well, he must have got it wrong then.
Whether Havertz turns out to be the right player, Havertz was the type of player that he needed to bring in for the system that he wanted to play. Now, whether he turns out to be good or bad that's in the future. We'll see.
So I got it wrong then, didn't he?
But no, he ain't got it wrong. This is 20 games through a season. I've watched Arsenal for 30, 40 years. This players, Bergkamp was Perez. They done nothing the first season. Loads of Breelist did nothing the first season.
Why do you think Chelsea sold him?
Give him time. Just give him time. Now, why did
He's
Chelsea
no different from it. Listen,
why did Chelsea sell De Bruyne? Why did Chelsea send Salah? Look, just surely we've watched enough football over the years to be able to say, okay, this is my point is that he might not be, but Arteta brought him in. Xhaka went right. He didn't want to buy another Xhaka, right? That's not because he wanted to.
Xhaka was a better player than Werner.
What?
Xhaka was better for Arsenal than Werner has been.
No, but what you got to understand is that Arsenal wanted to play with inverted fullbacks this year.
But it's not worked.
Well, we don't know yet. We're halfway through the season.
Steve, everything you're saying is correct, but the bottom line is
I know I'm correct, mate. I know.
If you're going to win the league, you need a 15 to 20 goal a season front man. Doesn't matter what system you're playing. It doesn't matter what system you're playing. It doesn't matter if Havertz was brought in to do a different job. The point we're making is that money should have been spent on a striker. Not what Havertz was brought in to do. But we know what you're saying, but you're going off.
Yeah, we agree with what you said. Liverpool or City will win the league because City have got Haaland, Liverpool have got Salah. Simple as that.
Havertz has been brought in as the Xhaka replacement.
Yeah, but Steve, we're not disagreeing with you about Havertz. We're not disagreeing with you about Havertz.
So you've got to spend some money, haven't you? You've still got to spend some money on a replacement to replace Xhaka. You're saying about a money. So is it money for... It's still money. You still got to spend money on that person's replacement. Yes, you might be right, and I don't know. Maybe last season was what you call it, like a mad season where Martinelli got 15 goals, Saka got over 15, Odegaard got over 15. Jesus,
and you still didn't win the league.
And in the end, maybe Arteta thought, maybe if we can...
If you had a 20-goal a season striker last year, you would have won the league. With what you're just saying.
Easy. We walked it. Yeah. And that's with Haaland.
So you agree with us then? That's what no one here is degrading the signing of Havertz apart from that money should have been spent elsewhere. He's a good player.
Absolutely.
I understand he's working for your system. But if you want, like last season, you come second.
Would money have had to be spent? Would money have had to have been spent on Xhaka's replacement?
But I mean, no, not if you've got.
What sort of money would it?
What sort of money are you talking about? 65 mil?
Would it? Well, if you're playing for Arsenal and you're a top player, that's the sort of reason you want someone playing in your midfield.
So let me ask you this, Steve. Then just go and flip it. Do you think
that I don't get it? I don't get the.
Let me just ask you this. Did you think that a replacement for Xhaka was more important than an out-and-out goal scorer for this season?
Someone had to be replaced. We can't play with Jorginho in the middle of the park or Mohamed El-Neni. We had to buy someone. Arteta decided to play Havertz. So I don't get the money thing. Don't come into it.
No, it does, because it's a lot of money. You could have got a different player to fill that gap. Like
we could have got a different player, and Havertz might feel to. He might Havertz might be proved to be. He might be at the beginning of the season. He he might turn out to be the right player by the end of the season. Might be a different conversation, right?
And then I will apologise immensely, but I truly think in the modern day, the only way you win a Premier League title is with a 20-goal a season striker. So, and that's the point. Like, I know what you're trying to say. We agree.
Well, it's not.
That's what. When was the 15 to 20? When was the last time a team won the Premier League without a striker scoring 15 to 20 goals a season for them?
No, look, I'm right. I'm just saying, look, I'm looking at what Arteta's thinking was last season. Was he right? Was he wrong? Whatever way you want to look at it, right? We'll see at the end of the season, right? But he's obviously thought, because of what his players did last season, he's thinking, what can I do to maybe... I don't think goal scoring wasn't the problem last season, right? So he's assuming that... No, it wasn't. So it wasn't.
You've just agreed that if you had a 20-goal a season striker, Steve, you would have won the league. You've just agreed that with me. So obviously it was an issue last season.
Do you think, Steve, if last season Arsenal would have had Erling Haaland, would you have won the league?
How many goals did we score less than you with super duper Haaland up front?
I don't know.
I know.
Man City won the league though. So
how many goals? No, you're talking about goals. How many goals? How many?
What did Haaland get?
Score more than you in the league?
How many?
I'd probably hazard 10.
6.
Well, there you go.
And Jesus was out. Jesus was out for 4 months.
You know what the difference was there, then, Steve?
Do you know what
the difference was there? We scored 3 at Arsenal, and we scored 4 at home to Arsenal, and that is the difference. So if you'd have had a better striker in both of those games, the chances are you would have won the league.
No, Saliba lost us the league last year for him being out for the last 10 games.
Oh, come on.
If you ask any Arsenal fan, they will tell you that if Saliba was there against Liverpool, if Saliba was there against West Ham, if Saliba was there against Southampton, we would and have another 7 games. Everybody says that Saliba was the reason why the Arsenal fell away last season.
Well, Saliba's playing this season, isn't he?
This is a different season. Our strikers this season are not doing it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That is the point we're making. It comes down to the strikers.
But I'm not saying it's this season. It's the strikers. Last season, it was defenders. It's about getting a balance, isn't it, in football?
No, it wasn't. I think Saliba played in both of those games against City, by the way. I'm pretty sure he did.
There's not one person on it. There's not one
Kieran
person
told me that it was Saka's goals drying up as well.
Like, you can never ever defend
very well either.
Defenses don't. There's this myth that defenses win Premier Leagues. It's not.
If you score 6 goals less than Man City, right, and then you look at the way Arsenal finished last season, the way we fell apart defensively when Saliba went out, you're telling me that the problem last season was goal scoring. It absolutely does not make any sense.
Manchester City won the Premier League in 2012 on goal difference. And the reason that they won it on goal difference was because they scored more goals than Manchester United. It's about goal scorers. It's about goal scorers.
Not last
even if you play in a game that you don't concede a goal, you've still got to score goals to win that game.
If Haaland would have scored 6 goals less than Arsenal last season, would we have won the league, Kev?
Well, it's possible.
Depends which game it was in.
Yeah. So if Haaland would have won. So if Haaland would have scored 6 goals less, you're saying Arsenal would have won the league.
Well, if you'd have beaten us,
yes or no?
I'm going to answer the question. I'm going to answer the question if you let me. If you'd have beaten City at the Emirates, you'd have won the league.
No,
we'd have had 3 points less. You'd have had 3 points more.
We was 2-0 up against Liverpool. We threw it away. We threw it away against Southampton.
Yeah, but it's just one game.
Against Fulham. We threw it away against West Ham. 4 games where we dropped points, right, all in a row. And you're saying because we didn't beat City, we lost the league.
No, I'm giving that as an example. You just needed to win one more game than you did. And that one game was your home game. That one game was your home game against City. If you'd have won that, so if you'd have had a striker that could put the ball in the back of the net, if you'd have won that game, you would have won the league. One game.
But if my aunt was my uncle, this is football.
No, the difference is because when you're playing your closest challengers, that game is worth 6 points. It is worth 6 points because when you play your closest challengers, that one, you get 3 points, and two, they get nothing.
So on that logic, Kev, we beat you at home this year. So we got more chance of winning the league this year than last year.
No, because you're not our closest competitors. Our closest competitors this year are Liverpool.
Okay, you keep changing it up. No, according to you.
No, listen. If you go back when we've had these podcasts, I guarantee that I have said to you all along that what you need to do is you cannot lose both games to your closest competitor. I
disagree, mate. I disagree with you.
Well, the reality is, the facts will prove you wrong. When we won the league in 2012, we beat Manchester United twice. We beat Manchester United twice. The fact that we won at Old Trafford 6-1 won us the league. If we'd have won 3-1, United would have won the league.
What about Liverpool? Didn't Liverpool beat you?
Can you stop bringing it up, Kev, mate? Because that's a devastating memory.
No, actually, Liverpool, prior to this season, have lost every single game at the Etihad since 2015. This season, they got a draw. But prior to that, Liverpool have won the league once.
Did they beat? And they lost twice at City though.
No, they drew one and they won at home. And the difference was when Liverpool won the league with 98 points, we had 97. If we'd have beaten them at Anfield, we'd have won the league. You cannot afford to lose 2 games in a season against your biggest competitor, your closest rival. You can't do it because ultimately they are the games that count. I promise you.
No, look, I don't think it's as black and white as that. You know, it's about over a season, and last season.
Right, boys. I am going to have to go very, very soon. But I am giving Arsenal an 8 out of 10 because they're roughly where I would have expected them to be. So.
No, I mean, but then you say 8 out of 10. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, mate, you're giving them 8 because this is where you expected it to do.
Yeah.
There's no way you can turn around and tell me you expected Jesus and Saka and Odegaard and Martinelli to be as poor as they've been all season. So that's
listen, Steve, I'm not just saying that this week. We've had this conversation before. The reason is, and I thought at the start of the season that what Arsenal needed to do because of last season, they needed to sign a striker. Even if you take the Havertz thing out of the equation, even if you take Raya out of the equation, Arsenal needed to sign a striker that was going to get them 20 goals a season. Now, and Rice is a fantastic footballer, by the way, but he's not the difference between Arsenal winning the league or not. The difference between Arsenal winning the league or not is them signing somebody who's going to get them 20 goals. And they didn't do that at the start of the season.
I disagree because goals are spread out all across the pitch. Yeah, if you got him, Martinelli scoring 15, Saka scoring 15, Odegaard.
That was a one-off season. They're not doing it this season. Whereas if you've got a main striker, Blackburn won the Premier League all those years ago because of Alan Shearer.
Yes, and what
you
did
go back as far as that.
When was the last time Tottenham won the league with Harry Kane?
But if he was in Arsenal's team, they'd win the league. Because the problem in the past, you're missing the point, Steve. Harry Kane is an excellent footballer, but Spurs previously had not had the rest of the team that's good enough to allow the goals that he scores to win them the league. Arsenal have an excellent squad, a great squad of players. Excellent. The style of play is great to watch. But what they don't have is a player that has the end product to win them the league. They didn't have it last season. They didn't have it last season. And they don't have it this season either.
Yeah, I'm not arguing the fact I want a striker. I want a striker because I just think it's good to have, you know, maybe Jesus is not the guy, you know, to score. But, you know, you're talking, I think Jesus got 11 last year. If you're saying we get a goal scored that scored 25, you know, you're talking like that's that's a mad amount of goals.
Right, boys, I am going to have to go very, very soon. I'm interested to see what score Garth is going to give Arsenal.
I'm in the middle of you boys. Like, yeah, it's Arsenal. I think they're a B. You know, what I mean, I agree with Keir to a point. I think this is where I thought you were a B. The difference is I didn't think Aston Villa would be in between you and Man City and Liverpool.
Yeah,
that's
right now they're a C, mate. Right now they're a C.
Aston Villa have done really well. So yeah, I didn't see it, and then.
Well, I mean, I'll end it on. I'll end it on like if, and I've said it. You know, if Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus and Odegaard, if they click like last season, then I think we can still win the league. But I don't think they will. So I don't think we'll win the league. If they do, then we've got a chance. But City are a juggernaut, and at this stage I can't see anybody winning else but City. So,
I tell you, who ain't winning the league. Yeah. Man United. That's who ain't winning the league this year. So.
Anyway, we're going to go now. So. Look, thanks everybody for joining us. Kieran will be back next week. Farrell will be back next week. And hope you enjoyed the show. So until then, peace out, stay safe and wash your hands.
That's kiss.